Hurricane Dorian continues to batter the North Carolina coastline as a Category 2 storm with 100-mile-per-hour winds and a pressure of 958 millibars as of 11 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time this September 5th. Currently, Dorian is projected to impact the Canadian Maritime Islands of Nova Scotia. That's not to rule out the possibility of a North Carolina landfall still on the table. Both areas would be a Stage 5 on the CDPS, devastating damage if it were to hit in North Carolina or in Maritime Canada. Dorian currently is at 33.8 degrees north, 77.4 degrees west. Again, Stage 5 on the CDPS, regardless if it hits in North Carolina or makes it up to the Maritimes of Canada. Currently, Dorian is sitting 40 miles away from Wilmington, where its eyewall is hammering the city at this hour. Moorhead City at 74 miles, Nags Head at 180 miles in the Outer Banks, 653 from Nantucket, and 1,050 from Halifax, Nova Scotia. We do have hurricane warnings still in effect from the Santee River to the North Carolina-Virginia border, Pimlico and Albemarle Sounds, and we now have tropical storm watches and hurricane watches for Maritime Canada. Getting into the rainfall forecast, you can see where the rain will be impacting the eastern coast of the United States as Dorian does move out of that area. By the time we do get into the weekend, could drop a little bit of rain and blustery conditions in along the Martha Vineyard, Nantucket, Cape Cod area before it will start racing off to the north into the Canadian Maritime, up into Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, New Brunswick, and some of the other maritime islands of eastern Canada. Sea surface temperatures for Dorian are marginal at best right now, 27 degrees Celsius. By the time it does get past the Outer Banks, it'll start moving towards the northeast, and you can see it'll start getting much cooler for Dorian, which will mean less chance for it to intensify, and it will slowly start transitioning into an extratropical system. Getting into the models right now, most every model is going to keep Dorian at a minimal hurricane by the time it does get up to the Canadian Maritime. At that point, it's really going to be a toss-up on when it will start transitioning into an extratropical system. Keep in mind though, even though it's extratropical, it may still deliver hurricane-force conditions for some of the Canadian Maritime province up in eastern Canada. Chance of tropical storm force winds are looking like this. Wilmington and Moorhead City both at 99%, Nags Head at 97%, Halifax at 77%, and Nantucket at 45%. Getting into the model guidance now, most every model does continue the weekly trend for Dorian, possibly being a minimal hurricane by the time it does get up into the Canadian Maritimes. Again, it's going to be interesting to see if it stays tropical by that time or not, and it's really going to start getting torn apart by the time it does get to an extratropical phase, as shear is going to be through the reef for it, which is not going to be very favorable for it. Sea surface temperatures are going to start bottoming out. It's still going to be some drier, and then you can see that track once it gets past North Carolina. It's just going to be a matter of where it's going to hit in Canada. Getting to the visual imagery, you can see Dorian is struggling to hold itself together. Most of its main convective areas are well away from its center, and it's really devoid of a lot of the good convection it had earlier. You can definitely see that in the water vapor imagery, as most of its convection has been fizzling away over the last few hours as it has gone through South Carolina and North Carolina. It has prompted a lot of tornadic activity, nearly 15 tornadoes reported, and nearly 260,000 residents without power in North Carolina and South Carolina. This doesn't count the catastrophic damage that was left in the Bahamas and Abaco's Island, and we still have a couple more days left before Dorian will be out of here. So everybody up along the Virginia coastline, up towards Nantucket, Cape Cod, and into the Canadian Maritimes. You guys need to be on this guard that even though it is still in a position where it could do some catastrophic damage for those areas before it will be turning extratropical, even then it can still deliver some hurricane conditions for the Canadian Maritimes. We'll be keeping an eye on this over the next day or two, as you should be too, and we'll have another update later on. Thank you for watching this production of Force 13. For more information about Force 13, you can reach us on all of our media outlets. Our website, force13.com, where we are revamping the website and writing new articles for your reading pleasure. We're also on YouTube at youtube.com/force13. You're probably there already. If you are, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button to keep getting updates like these rolling into your mailbox. We're also on Facebook, keyword Force 13, where we'll post our articles, and keep an eye out there for any live events that we may simulcast there. We're also on Twitter, keyword Force 13. And if you want to look swag like our own Nathan Foy here, you can rock our colors by going to our store. Our store is store.force13.com, or you can continue directly to the project by way of the Patreon. More information about patronage and the privileges you can get from it can be found at patreon.com/force13. And if you want to reach out to the project directly, you can reach out to us at Force13 on Skype, or you can hit me up directly at extension TREN, extension 1375, or you can hit that link in the bottom of the description to get to our Discord. That information also available at the end of this segment.